Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. Social Security is going to run out of money. How many times have you heard this statement? You've likely seen these types of headlines saying that Social Security is running out. There are certainly glaring issues with Social Security as it stands today, but it's not necessarily the proper narrative to say that it's running out of money, because that kind of implies that Social Security is going to be gone, that there will be no money left. But this narrative is convincing. Consider that a study from the American Society of Pension Professionals and Actuaries found that about 2/5 or more of Gen Z and millennials believe that they will not get a dime of the Social Security benefits they have earned. Those are some pretty high numbers, but is it really fair to say that you're unlikely to even receive a dime of Social Security? Let's take a bit of a deeper dive. First, consider how Social Security is funded, which is through payroll tax deductions from both the employee and the employer on the first $168,600 of earned income. And that number is indexed for inflation, so it does increase a bit each year. The payroll tax rate for Social Security is 6.2%. This means that employees pay 6.2% and employers pay 6.2%. Self-employed people will pay the entire payroll tax rate of 12.4%. Everyone's deductions get pooled, and according to the Social Security Administration, about 85 cents of each dollar goes towards the Social Security Trust Fund that pays monthly benefits to current retirees and their families, and the other 15 cents goes to a trust fund that pays benefits to people with disabilities and their families. The whole system is built around the idea that money being paid in from current workers is the money being paid out to current retirees. And in the past, we've had a larger pool of workers paying into the system than payouts actually being made. But now the pendulum is actually swinging in the other direction, leading to a situation where there would need to be more payouts than money actually being paid into the system. So that's where this narrative of Social Security running out comes in. However, running out isn't exactly the best phrasing. More specifically, starting in 2034, the Social Security Administration will run out of the excess reserves it has and will only be able to pay out a portion of a retiree's full benefits, 77% to be exact. This means that retirees could receive reduced monthly benefits or fewer checks each year. The average Social Security check is roughly $1,760. So if this benefit was reduced by 77%, the average check would fall to about $1,360. And that's certainly impactful, but it's a different narrative than saying that Social Security is going to stop altogether or that there will be no Social Security. However, if your paycheck or the income source that you're relying on were suddenly to drop to 77% of its original value, that's going to have a big impact on your life. Initially, Social Security was set up to be one piece of the overall retirement income puzzle. That three-legged stool, so to speak, with one leg being a pension, the other leg being individual savings, and finally the third leg being Social Security. While pensions have become less and less common, creating a more heavily reliance on individual savings and Social Security. And with lackluster savings, many people end up relying on Social Security as their primary income source in retirement, helping to highlight why cuts to Social Security would be so painful to so many people. There are two predominant ways to address the funding issues with Social Security, and that is cutting benefits or increasing tax revenues. Under the cuts category, you often hear suggestions like increasing the retirement age. The current full retirement age is set for 67 for those born in 1960 or later, and the common argument here is that people are living longer, so they should naturally work longer and delay claiming Social Security. It is worth noting that Social Security did actually increase the age from 65 to 67 for full retirement age back in 1983. And honestly, in previous years, I probably would have been more on board with this one, but nowadays I have parents who are in their early 70s or their mid 70s, and health issues creep up fast. So it's kind of hard for me to say, yeah, I think we should delay this benefit age further, because I don't feel like the whole point of life is to work as long as possible and then ultimately only have a couple years or a handful of years that are truly enjoyable in retirement before health issues take hold. Also in the cuts category, you have the consideration of reworking the current benefits formula, adopting a formula that would somewhat reduce the overall benefit payout for high income earners while still keeping the benefit payout consistent for low and middle income earners. And this kind of falls in line with how Social Security is intended to be used. It is a progressive system where in retirement, the benefit payout represents a higher proportion of income for lower income earners and a smaller proportion of income for higher income earners. So in this proposal, you end up cutting the benefit or reducing the benefit payout for the higher income earners. Another common proposal is to increase taxes, perhaps increasing the tax rate or by raising the income cap limit currently set at $168,600. This would increase tax revenues. The cap on taxable earnings ensures that there's a cap on benefit payouts as well, helping to ensure that higher income earners don't receive a disproportionately larger payout relative to their contributions. By capping the amount of income subject to Social Security tax, the system maintains a level of progressivity. This means that individuals with higher incomes pay a smaller portion of their total income in Social Security taxes compared to those with lower incomes. Also, without this cap, higher income earners face an increased tax burden, which you could have the concern that this increased tax burden could disincentivize workers from wanting to work to earn those higher incomes. There have been talks about a portion of the funds in the Social Security Trust being invested. Presently, they are not directly invested in stocks, bonds, or other assets. Instead, they are invested in special issue government securities, which are essentially IOUs from the U.S. Treasury Department to the Social Security Administration. These bonds essentially represent loans from the Social Security Trust Fund to the federal government. In return, the government pays interest on these bonds to the trust fund. I think this tactic could bring a great deal of upside. Although full disclosure, if you are a follower of this channel, you know I'm a huge advocate for investing in the stock market. And I think this could work because long term, the stock market goes up. Over any rolling 20-year period, the stock market has never produced a negative return. And we could also take a page out of the book on safe withdrawal rates. When we look at portfolios on either end of the extreme, totally stocks or totally bonds, they have incredibly high failure rates, with those failure rates being exponentially higher for those with the total bond portfolios. So a portfolio that's basically not invested at all is not something that we recommend to individual retirees. So why is it essentially something that we do for an entire nation of retirees? And while there aren't currently any strong proposals discussing some level of individualization, it is at least worth a talking point. If we look at Australia's superannuation system compared to the Social Security program here in the US, there are some pretty stark differences, with the end goal being the same, the end goal to provide you an income source in retirement. Employers are required to contribute 10% of their employees' wages to their individual superannuation fund, but also employees can make voluntary contributions above and beyond this amount. These contributions could come in the form of deductions from their salary, or it just could be individual contributions. These funds are placed into individual accounts for the employees, and then the employees have the option to invest these funds how they so choose. You can choose options that are conservative or even options that are aggressive. In contrast with Social Security, it's a pay-as-you-go system where all funds are pooled together and there's no opportunity for investment. Finally, when a worker reaches retirement, retirees can access their superannuation savings as a lump sum, as a regular income stream, an annuity, or as a combination of both. This allows them more choices and more freedom when it comes to their retirement funds. Whereas with Social Security, as I said, it's a pay-as-you-go system. There are no individual accounts, everything is pooled together, and the only option you have is monthly payments. Today, Australia has the world's 54th largest population, but the 4th largest retirement system. While both systems aim to help provide an income in retirement, they differ in their funding mechanisms, their benefit structure, and their investment approach. I think across the board, whether you want to address the issues through cuts, through taxes, through investment strategies, I think a huge consideration should be given to the promotion of financial literacy across the country. It seems so incredibly frustrating that the expectation is that you should be saving for your own retirement through personal savings or through taking advantage of employer-sponsored plans without actually having any sort of widespread financial education in our country. It's like we have the attitude of, this is what you should be doing, we set the bar here and we expect you to hit it without actually giving people the tools necessary to succeed. The three-legged stool doesn't work these days. Pensions are disappearing, Social Security is desperately in need of reform, and Americans as a whole are not great savers. So I think it's safe to say that you need to have some kind of program that's widely available, ideally through the public school system, to educate people and to empower them to take saving and investing into their own hands, which could potentially help lessen the reliance on Social Security. What do you think is the most ideal way to make some adjustments to the Social Security system as it stands today? Either way, I don't think we're going to see some changes for quite some time, because with the funds currently set to run short in 2034, that's 10 years away. And I don't think Congress has a huge incentive to act right now, especially with it being a hot button issue and something they don't really want to take responsibility for. So I don't think we're going to see action taken until we're really knocking on the door of the problem. Share your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye.